These are some mighty fine books I would like to read in the mighty fine month of July. Welcome back to my second channel, welcome back to Jack in the Books. The first book that I want to show you is not one that I'm going to be reading in July, but one that did just arrive. I've actually already read it, but I bought myself this gorgeous edition of The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. Can we just take a moment to appreciate how stunning this is? This is the illustrated version, and look at the inside pages, like, oh my god. It is beautiful. So it is illustrated by Bea Rabai, and she's really used the kind of fig motif from the book throughout. It's so pretty. And I think there are some like, whoa, look at these. Those pictures like inside, I guess before each chapter. And it's just so beautiful. And I saw this in a bookstore like a year ago, and I've been fantasizing about it ever since. And since I was doing some book shopping, I thought, it's time. It is time. I deserve this. I don't know what I did to deserve it, but I do. So I just thought I would show you that, because the rest of the books are books that I'm going to be trying to read this month. So where shall we begin? Let's start with this one. This is a dinky, short little book. This is Ms. Ice Sandwich, and this is by Mieko Kawakami, who I absolutely love. She wrote Breast and Eggs, she wrote Heaven, and she wrote All the Lovers in the Night. And as I've been reading her books, I think they've just been getting better and better, and I've been connecting with them even more. All the Lovers in the Night I thought was just absolutely stunning. It's definitely one of my favourite books that I've read so far this year. And this is the last little piece of Mieko Kawakami that I think we have translated into English. She has a novel that is currently being translated, which will be released in 2025. And so I'm gonna have a bit of a Mieko Kawakami deficit for a while. So I feel like I should really savor this, but I'm so desperate to read it, and it's very short too. It's only 92 pages, so I feel like this is gonna be a fun little summer read. I can see myself taking this to the park with me. And I don't know, the fact it's called Miss Ice Sandwich, is something about it feels summery to me, and so I feel like I want to read it now, in July. Then I have this book. This is Things We Say in the Dark. This is by Kirsty Logan. It's described by the Sunday Telegraph as gripping, you won't put it down. Alone in a remote house in Iceland, a woman is unnerved by her isolation. Another can only find respite from the clinging ghost that follows her by submerging herself in an overgrown pool. Couples wrestle with a lack of connection to their children, a schoolgirl becomes obsessed with the female anatomical models in a museum, and a cheery account of a child's day out is undercut by chilling footnotes. These dark tales explore women's fears with electrifying honesty and invention, and speak to one another about female bodies, domestic claustrophobia, desire, and violence. So it's a short story collection. It's got one of those covers where like the texture of it picks up any fingerprints ever. But that's, you know, that's not a criticism. Oh wow, this also has an illustration in it too. It's kind of the same style as The Bell Jar. Oh, interesting. Ooh, the first part is called The House, and the epigraph is from Emily Dickinson. One need not be a chamber to be haunted. That's cool, I like that. I went to Edinburgh with my friend Dakota. She bought this book and she kept reading out little quotes to me that were so wonderful, and so I was like, I need to read that. And so I finally am going to, just like 4 or 5 months later. The next book is this one. This is called The Hero of This Book. It's by Elizabeth McCracken and described as tender, funny, heartbreaking, philosophical. McCracken is a writer who always delights. And the blurb is this. 10 months after her mother's death, the narrator of the hero of this book walks across London on a quiet Sunday. The city was a favourite of her mother's, and as the narrator wanders the streets, she finds herself reflecting on her mother's life and their relationship. Thoughts of the past meld with questions of the future. Back in New England, the family home is now up for sale, its considerable contents already winnowed. The woman, a writer, recalls all that made her complicated mother extraordinary. Her brilliant wit, her generosity, her unbelievable obstinacy, her sheer will in seizing life despite physical difficulties, and finds herself wondering how her mother had endured. Even though she wants to respect her mother's nearly pathological sense of privacy, the woman must come to terms with whether making a chronicle of this remarkable life constitutes an act of love or betrayal. The hero of this book is a searing examination of grief and renewal, and of a deeply felt relationship between a child and her parents. At once comic and heartbreaking, with prose that surprises at every turn, this is a novel of such piercing love and tenderness that we are reminded that art is what remains when all else falls away. Whew, that's a great blurb. That is a great blurb. That is cracking. That is muckraking. I feel like that's a really interesting concept. I'm fascinated by that. So yeah, this is one that I'm really looking forward to reading. Next, this is If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English. But before I tell you about this book, I wanted to let you know that today's video is very, very kindly brought to you by Squarespace. Friends of the channel, we love them. And Squarespace is an all-in-one website building platform. So when you want to start your website or your online brand, Squarespace is the place that you need to go. No coding experience is required because they have hundreds of incredible and beautiful templates, which you can use as a starting point and a springboard to satisfy your creativity and create something that is really unique and personal to you by customizing it. Of course, a website is often the first surface that people come into contact with when they discover your business, and so you can use features like the blog feature to share what is going on with your business, the analytical tools to work out what content you should make more of, and if all of that sounds good to you, then you can get a free trial over at squarespace.com, have a play around, see what you can create, and then when you're ready to launch your beautiful new website, you can use my code JackInTheBooks at squarespace.com/JackInTheBooks to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. You're welcome. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this series of videos of my monthly TBR. I really appreciate it. And now onto this book. In post-Arab Spring Cairo, two unnamed characters meet and fall in love. She is a nostalgic daughter of Egyptian immigrants returning to a country she's never been to before. He was a photographer of the revolution who is now unemployed and living in a rooftop shack. As their alternating perspectives unfold in blocks of taut poetic prose, their desire for each other, for the selves they strive to become through the other, takes a violent turn. A dark romance exposing the fraught fissures in American identity politics when exported overseas, If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English is a lush post-colonial novel for the 21st century. Doesn't that sound brilliant? It's described as fearless and pithy with aphorism, her sentences honed to dagger point, drumming with swag. The word swag has thrown me. I won't lie. I appreciate what it means in this context, but the word swag took me straight back to like Bieber Fever, Boyfriend by Justin Bieber first being released, Swag Swag on You, chilling by the fire while we're eating fondue. I imagine that's never been mentioned before in a review of this book, but that's what you come to this channel for, just the most bizarre mix of cultures. But anyway, I think that book sounds really great, and I look forward to experiencing how it is thrumming with swag. Sure. Next, an author I absolutely adore. This is Sayaka Murata. I had the pleasure of getting to hear her speak in New York in April. It was so great, it was so interesting, and this is her most recent release, Life Ceremony. This is also a short story collection, so there's a couple of those in this list. A bride-to-be struggles with her fiancé's dislike of objects made from human remains. A pair of schoolgirls keep a grown man as a pet. A bedroom curtain becomes entangled in a complex menage-a-trois. Joyfully strange, definitely joyfully strange. Joyfully strange is the perfect way to describe Sayaka Murata. Joyfully strange with perfect comic timing, the 13 stories in Sayaka Murata's Life Ceremony combine surreal conceits with a deep empathy for how it feels to be a little bit different in a world that just wants you to fit in. I mean, keeping a man as a pet, a bedroom curtain becoming entangled in a complex menage-a-trois, like, it's definitely a little bit different. And that is the joy of reading this author's work. Because she's batshit crazy, and we love her for that. So, very much looking forward to this one. And then I picked this up when I was in Milan just recently. This is Charles Bukowski on writing. So this is a writer talking about the craft of writing. And the quote at the top says, "Do some living and get yourself a typewriter." Charles Bukowski was one of our most iconoclastic, raw and riveting writers, one whose stories, poems and novels have left an enduring mark on our culture. On Writing collects Bukowski's reflections and ruminations on the craft he dedicated his life to. Now, is Charles Bukowski a problematic author at times? Yes, absolutely. He was a raging misogynist. He had some awful, horrendous views, specifically about women, but the man could write. He was very, very talented at writing characters, at writing narratives. His poetry is brilliant, and so I think you have to contextualize this author. I think it's really important that two things can be true at the same time. Someone can be a brilliant author but have horrendous views and values. I'm intrigued to read about how he approached writing, and we will see. As with all of these books, I will let you know whether this is worth reading. I'm going to be doing another book edition of Smash or Pass on my main channel at some point in July, so look out for that. And then the final book that I would love to read this month is Death of a Bookseller. Roach, bookseller, loner, and true crime fanatic, has no interest in making friends. She has all the company she needs in her serial killer books, murder podcasts, and her pet snail, Bleep. Ooh, I don't know, it's giving quirky. Maybe too quirky for me, but we'll see. That is until Laura joins the bookshop. With her cute literary tote bags and sunny smile, she's everyone's favourite bookseller, but beneath the shiny veneer, Roach senses a darkness within Laura, the same darkness Roach possesses. And as curiosity blooms into morbid obsession, Roach becomes determined to be part of Laura's story, whether Laura wants her in or not. Deliciously dark, unsettling, and utterly addictive, Death of a Bookseller is a rollercoaster of suspense that will make your skin crawl and your heart pound. Okay, I'm approaching this one with trepidation because I don't know why the fact that she has like a pet snail called Bleep, it just gives I'm not like other girls character in an indie movie, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna warm to her, but we'll see. Erin Kelly describes it as your new obsession. Abigail Dean says it's an all-consuming thriller. I honestly don't read thrillers or murder mysteries very often, so that's kind of why I decided to read this, because I thought it would be a bit of a romp, a bit of fun, a good summer read. So that is Death of a Bookseller. And also I love anything set in a bookshop and about books as well. So these are the books that I would really love to get around to reading this July. As always, follow me on TikTok and Instagram to keep up with how it's going on a day-to-day basis. And for now, all the best, stay in touch, have the most wonderful day, and I will catch you very, very soon. Bye-bye!